welcome everyone. My name is Amanda Yadis. I serve here at Holy Cross as the Minister of Partnership and Mission, as well as the Youth Ministry Administrator. For those of you who are family members, visitors, friends, our church is in transition. Our youth director took a new position in December. So in this transitionary time, I am also serving as doing some of our youth ministry activities. So to prepare for this meeting, I literally watched the video from last year to remind myself of all the things that they talked about, because I was in the background handing out books and things like that. I have been here on staff for a little over a year, and it has been a blessing to walk with our students and get to know our students in our confirmation program and the ministry here. So thank you all for being here tonight, for taking a little bit of time on a Wednesday, Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday, to learn about this opportunity to walk with our students during the season of Lent. This is a new program here at Holy Cross that they started, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. 2 years ago?
This is the third year.
Is the third year? And it was really cool as a new staff person last year to see this energy during Lent and be here all afternoon and evening and see students meeting with their neighbors, their grandparents, their aunts, their uncles, other folks from church. Some students may know their mentor very well. Some students may have a mentor that is a person from the congregation. So I thank you all for stepping into this role to walk with students during this time. And let's get started a little bit on a few things, but let's take a moment for a word of prayer. Hey God, we just give you thanks for this night, Lord, and this opportunity to walk with your young people in faith, Lord. To talk with them, to learn about their faith journey. We ask that you would bless our time together here, Lord, but bless those moments and those conversations that students have with their mentors. We pray all these things in your name. Amen. Amen. So, part of the purpose of this Lenten mentoring program and the ministries that we do at Holy Cross is we found there are numerous studies. A lot of them have Lutheran backgrounds, like Vibrant Faith and the Fuller Research Institute, that says for a young person to really grow and develop maturity in their faith, they need 5 role models, 5 adults that walk that process with them. So not just one, it's 5. Now, primarily, that faith role model, if you poll students and say who has the most faith influence in your life, it'll be parents, or it'll be grandparents, or other folks. We have a large congregation. We have 65 students in our confirmation program. And as much as myself and Vicar Hans and Pastor Meredith want to all walk with students in their faith development and really build that relationship with them, and it's all relational, that is not possible with 65 students. And it's really important that we find ways, if we're passionate about helping our young people grow in faith, for them to find those 5 folks to walk with them in faith. 5 is kind of a lot when you think about it in some ways. 5 adults that they can lean on to walk with them in Christ. So one of the reasons that our program is designed to have small groups in our regular confirmation program that runs September through May. And that small group ministry there's large group time, but then we break students up into groups. Our 9th grade groups are a little big. There's 9 boys in a group. But we have 2 adult small group leaders, 1 or 2 small group leaders with each one of our groups. So they spend a little bit of time in large group, and then half an hour, 45 minutes in small group. And those small group leaders are the same, their 7th grade year and their 8th grade year. And it's one of the ways that we can build in those 5 adults in their life. The other thing is that we believe strongly in intergenerational ministry. So there's a couple of students who have mentors who are a high school student from youth ministry, things like that. We also have a lot of aunts and uncles and grandparents. I know that there's one student whose grandma's a snowbird, but they're going on vacation to visit. So they're doing a couple of weeks of mentoring together, and then a couple of virtual weeks for the ones that they don't fit in. Like, yes, like, spend that time with Grandpa. That's awesome. Talk about God with Grandpa. Talk about your faith. That is so cool. And those things are so important in the faith development for our young people. I remember going to church with my grandma. I remember those things when I was like third grader. I remember those things. I remember some of those conversations. And your students will too. So thank you for taking the time to do this. So whether or not you know it, you have a huge role in their faith development, even in these 6 weeks. So, why am I? Oh, I hit my mark of steps for the night. All of a sudden, my wrist started vibrating. I'm sorry, it threw me off. So, how our mentoring program works for the year is we ask that you set up a time to consistently meet with our students and go through this devotional booklet. We want you to meet with them 5 times, so starting next week, and spend 30 minutes with them. At least 30 minutes, okay? If it's possible, mentors, we encourage you to join them for worship as well. It doesn't always work, but I think it's a really great thing to be able to do, to walk with your mentee, with your students and their families during Lent. So we have worship at 5 and at 7. So any time between that 4:30, 8:30 time frame, so whether that's before 5 o'clock worship or after 5 o'clock worship or before 7 o'clock or after 7 o'clock worship, it's a great opportunity to take those 30 minutes to meet with your students. If at all possible, we strongly, strongly encourage that you meet here at church on site. The gathering place will be open. It's a great place to meet at tables anywhere on the first floor throughout the building. And that's really just for everyone's safety and accountability, that we ask that you meet on site here. If perchance Wednesday doesn't work, you gotta work late, it's snowing, it's always snowing. It's not good, I'm not gonna make it tonight. You can definitely come on Sunday too. Or you can meet on a Sunday or at another time, do 2 sessions 1 week. Those are possible. If you're techie, some students have had to do like the virtual FaceTime thing 1 week. Last year there was a student he always sat at the back table over there and he was on his phone, and I'm like, what? And then I walked by and he was chatting with his mentor. He was FaceTiming. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So that you can do sometimes as well if you have to. But try to be present together in that time and in that conversation. And so in being present, we ask you to be authentic, affirming, and available. Those are called the AAA adults. Those are what are needed in the adults that are walking with our students. That they're authentic, that you're real with them, that you're available. So, take that 30 minutes to be present with them. And them be present with you too, not on the phone. And be affirming. Be affirming of their time that they're spending with you, their questions. Our devotions this year sometimes may leave you with questions. You're like, I don't know. That's a good question. And that's okay. And for them not to be sure, that's okay. For you not to be sure, that's okay. That's part of walking in this journey together and learning. Faith formation and faith development never ends. It doesn't end at confirmation. It doesn't end when you're 20. It doesn't end when you're 40. It doesn't end when you're 80. You're always learning and growing in faith. There's always something you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So feel free to ask questions and also be affirming in that everybody has questions. That's super important. Keep going. go on talking about our book and our devotion and our time, but know that whatever your conversations are, the fact that you are journeying with these students in the next 6 weeks, that's what's super important. Not that you have the answers, not that you got through the whole book, but that by being present with them, you let them know that you care, that you are there for them, that they have a person to talk to. And that is the most important thing. So, thank you for being with our young people and walking with them. This book is a little, if you did mentoring last year, it's a little different, but it's the same kind of style. So this year we're talking about faith stories. And we're talking about people and characters in the Bible, both Old Testament and New Testament. So it's very sort of like plug and play, bring the discussion guide, which one per mentor-mentee. I will have some extra copies in the weekend worship notes thing. So this year we put the iPads for checking in on Wednesday students. Right over there where you drop off your sermon notes, your worship notes, and I'll put a couple extra in there. But for any student or parent who was here a couple weeks ago when we talked about study, practice 7 and studying the Bible and being in the Word, you can't talk about faith stories, can't talk about characters in the Bible, unless we read about them in the book. So, you are going to need to bring your discussion guide and a Bible. This is my youth gathering Bible from 2009. It's a little road weary, but it's definitely used, and that's okay. So mentors, if you want to bring a Bible and students bring a Bible, great. They may be different versions. That's okay. You can talk about how the story is a little bit different. We have also really been encouraging our students this year to bring their Bible to get into practice of looking things up. So that is something that's a little bit different because we're talking about faith stories. We're talking about Abraham. We're talking about Moses. We're talking about Mary. So let's read about them in the Bible where the story is. So let's see. So they're all designed to make students think a little bit, talk about faith, talk about what they know about the Bible. The other thing is, these faith stories are about broken people and how God uses them in the midst of their brokenness. And so those are part of how we grow in faith and an important component in these faith stories. So you're going to meet 5 times over the next 6 weeks. There are 7 topics. And so each topic, you can go, if you open the first page, there's the mentor log. There's some helpful get-to-know-you questions. If you would like to do that, you may know them, and you may not. This may be a good icebreaker for you. So the faith stories are broken down by, each lesson has a different theme. How did the Bible help you grow in faith? How have other people helped you grow in faith? But they're all connected to a story. Kind of how I would walk you through, if we go through the first one, if you open up like 2-3 pages in, and it's the Abraham and Isaac story. First of all, let me say, don't feel like you have to do all 7. You don't have to squeeze in all 7. Pick the 5 that are most interesting. Sometimes, especially maybe our 7th grade boys will answer very yes, no, yes, short answer questions, and you get through one in 15 minutes. Well, that's a perfect opportunity to do a second one. You don't have to tell them that ahead of time either. But as you'll see, there's conversation starters here. So like, what are some things that you believe that aren't related to God or the church. You can start with this, but I would also say one of the things we classically do in our small groups is we talk about highs and lows. Where are you at this week? Where's your student at this week? Tell me something great about your week. Tell me something not so great about your week. And allow them to share and you to share as well. And that's how we grow and get to know each other and build a relationship. And then I would say, dig in to some of those conversation starters without the theme. So then you're going to go into that second section and faith stories from the Bible. So this one has the Abraham and Isaac story. So the paraphrase of the story on the next page is not the whole story. That's why I'm telling you to read it in the Bible. And read that together, whether one person reads one part, one person reads the other. Do whatever you guys are comfortable with. Go through those questions. What did you hear? You're going to hear, that's going to come up a lot. What did you hear? What did you notice? One thing that I suggest, even when I do Bible story readings, is sometimes I got to read it twice. Sometimes I got to read it 3 times. So don't be afraid to go back, say, okay, you read it this time. I'm going to read it next time. Write some notes down. Tell them to write a keyword that they hear. You can mark up the book however you would like the devotional guide. For me, sometimes I need that first time to kind of focus in, and that second time to what kind of questions are they asking me, and really listen. And do what works well for you and your mentee. Really, do what works best for you. And then I would read the story and the paraphrase of the story on the page next to it. It really breaks it down well. And then go through those faith questions. And as your time ends, end in a word of prayer together. So if you're encourage your student to pray you out for the evening. Let's see. So those faith questions are going to dig deeper. The one thing that you do not have to do, but as I was going through the book, I was like, oh, this is sort of poignant. I might encourage you to think about lesson 7, how do you share your faith story, as the last one you do, because it is the discussion of the repentant thief on the cross. So as we're preparing for Holy Week, that might be a great conversation to have during the season of Lent, and a wrap-up of how students shared their faith story. But you don't have to. Go with the 5 that you would like to discuss and your student would like to discuss. I don't know if there's any other things. I hope that this is pretty self-explanatory and easy to walk through, and that we kind of answered any questions that you may have. Like I said before, the most important thing is you're spending time with the student. I'm praying for you. The staff here is praying for you in this journey. We're so thankful that you said yes to this. And we know that the Lord is walking with you in those discussions as well. Any questions about how this works, about the devotion guide, about the expectations, requirements, anything? Ask away. Some of our 8th grade, we've kind of switched this up over the last few years, so I know some of our 8th grade folks that are here tonight this is their 2nd year being a mentor, so I'm down. But feel free to ask any questions. Anybody have a question that I didn't cover? Ellie? Yeah.
What do we turn in when we're done? Just this mentor log, or the whole book, or?
You do not need to turn in the book. You don't really need to turn in the mentor log either. I'm really trusting you that you guys are going to be accountable to that. Keep that as your log of, oh, we met so many times. Really, if you turn it in and I have to record it, it's just one more thing I have to record, and I'm already really far behind with the paperwork. As our small group leaders laugh at me, they totally know. The stack is high on recording stuff, so I'm going to trust you and your student to do this because it's important. And I don't want to record anything else. Is that fair? So you can keep it, you can give it to your student, you can write it, use it how you need to. Yeah?
When are they confirmed? When is confirmation?
Confirmation for students is during 9th grade in October. It is the last Sunday of October, which would be Reformation Sunday. So I can't say like, oh, it's this date, but I know that is that. And we have services in the afternoon after our 10:30 service. So at like noon and 2, I think. So they have 7th grade, 8th grade, and then that 8th grade summer, our confirmation students are working on their faith statements, their Bible verses. Then they have a 9th grade retreat, usually in September, and are confirmed in October.
And do they have a mentor every year as far as 7th and 8th grade?
Yes, we do this program every year. Now, you can have the same mentor. If you're a repeat mentor, awesome, that means they liked you. It can be the same person. It doesn't have to be the same person. Sometimes it's one grandparent one year, one grandparent the next year, the aunt one year. Schedules are busy and sometimes people can't make it. So it doesn't have to be a certain person. It's kind of great if it is, but it doesn't have to be. Any other questions? No? We good? I will send out a digital, if I have your email address, I will send out a digital copy. Oh, there was one other thing I did want to tell you. So on the very back, I didn't really go through mine all the way, so that's why I didn't tell you this. On the very back is it's sort of the covenant, your promises to each other about your time together. And so I ask that you, so it has mentor and youth. If you flip that page over, there's a little bit of logistics on the front page, on the back. I ask that you go over that with your students so you understand, both of you understand the expectations. So go through that first week as well. Any other questions? No? Perfect. Like I said, if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, or I will be around on Wednesday nights, Roman, to answer questions. Students will still need to check in for attendance tracking purposes, and we put them, like I said, in the back by the worship notes. Thank you so much for your time tonight, folks. Grow in faith, serve the Lord.
Thank you.